What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production.
Yo, it's Bry-Fy coming live through your Wi-Fi. One-man show, but I'm feeling like a sci-fi. Comic books, video games, catching them all. Pokemon cards stacked, yeah, I'm ready to brawl. From Marvel to DC, I break it all down. Nifty nerd news, got the geeky rundown. Pop culture hits, movies and shows. I stay in the know while the fandom grows. So plug in, tune up, press play, let's ride. This is the Bry-Fy, baby, welcome to the vibe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. I'm your host, Bry-Fy, your comics guy. Yes, your comics guy. And I said comics because guess who's back in the comic books? This guy. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Sorry. But yeah, back at y'all with another episode of the Bry-Fy podcast. And my throat a little sore. I was at fire school training all last week. That's why you didn't see an episode until today, Sunday night. We'd probably be listening to this on Monday. But yeah, so I was there. My throat hurts from all the yelling that I was doing. Not because I was angry at people, but so like when you're fighting fires, if you've never done it before, it's loud with the sound of water, the sound of the fire, sound of everyone else screaming, your heart gets pumping. Like there's a lot going on. And so you just start yelling, not because you hate anyone, but because you're trying to get your point across. And so I had a lot of points that I was trying to get across all week. In fact, I remember at one point I was yelling at a guy who's one of the, we invite some of the departments from our county who help us fight fires at our plant because I'm not a municipal firefighter. I don't work for a city or volunteer for a city. I'm a firefighter out at my place of business at the plant that I work. We're so far out that we have to have our own fire brigade team because it takes just 20 minutes just to drive to my work. Now, add on top of that the time it takes for whatever fire departments to get ready to leave and then show up. So yeah, anything that could be a small contained fire now takes as anywhere between 30 and 40 minutes to get very engulfed in flames. So it's wise to have our own department, or I say department, but our own group of voluntold on site. So you might hear me take water pause breaks to help my throat. And I might not be as loud as I normally am on my podcast episodes. So I'm sorry, but thank you for being understanding. Anyway, let's get into some nifty nerd news. All right, guys, up first in the nifty nerd news with the Olympics coming up, which I'm really excited for. We're starting to see who's representing whose country. Of course I'm interested in the USA athletes because who's representing me. And I gotta tell you, man, I'm excited. There's some really cool athletes, but one really cool athlete is a figure skater named Amber Glenn, who is representing Team USA along as a individual ice skater with two others, and I think I've talked about one of the others. I can't remember if I had or not. But Amber Glenn's pretty cool, not because she's a figure skater. Well, I mean, she is cool because she's like a world champion or national champion figure skater and going to the Olympics. But why she's really cool to me is she's a big fan of Magic the Gathering, which I think is really cool, man. We've seen athletes, Jamal Williams, who's a big fan of like Pokemon and anime. And it seems like Amber Glenn is also one of those people. She's one of us, people. One of us. So definitely big fan. But there's it's funny because these things that like when I was a kid that weren't very popular or didn't seem like the very, very popular thing are finding their way into the limelight as I have become an adult, which I think is really awesome. And there are kids out there who might be in the Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or things like that who feel like outcasts, but then they see, an Olympic athlete is into this, like an Olympic athlete, someone who is a competitor at the top level is into this fun little nerd thing that I'm into. Also, I think it's really good. Like I said, we talked about Jamal Williams, the football player. I think he's a running back in the NFL, like in the anime and Pokemon, and he is not ashamed to like wear Pokemon things during interviews or talk about how much he loves anime in interviews. It just lets kids know, like, hey, this is cool. It's fun. Like you're allowed to be yourself, but do these amazing things and work, as long as you work hard, and like you can achieve those dreams, right? So I just think, Amber Glenn is just another positive role model for the nerd community. Among all the other communities that she represents, the nerd community is my favorite. But like, I don't know, man. This is a cool thing. It's really, really interesting and really neat. So I'm really excited to see how well she does at the Olympics, and hopefully, like we've seen like track athletes and that thing. Like she could pull out like a Magic the Gathering card from like her ski boot or something like that. I don't know. It'd just be kind of funny. Like, dedicate this one to you, Black Lotus. That was probably if she had a Black Lotus. Oh my God, and pulled that out. That'd be insane. Let's see. Moving on. Let's go into video game news next. So, one game that has blown up on all my social media feeds and has been very popular here recently is a game called Dispatch. Dispatch is a narrative-based game that I guess has like, I'll be honest, I don't really know what exactly Dispatch is. I know you are in a retired or ex superhero got hurt, and you work as a dispatcher to, it looks like, use ex villains who are to become heroes, or people who want to do better as heroes, like become heroes, help them to appropriately place them in the right position to do a good job. And all that is a nice overview for what is a superhero dating sim, for all that I can tell, honestly, based on everything I've seen. Which, I mean, it looks funny, witty. The artwork looks great on it. I thought when I first started seeing stuff from Dispatch, I thought it was a new like animation, like an adult one that maybe like Amazon Prime was going to release or something like that. And then it turned out, oh, this is like a video game that you can play and make choices and have dialogue with. So it was really cool. It was on PC. I don't remember. I think PlayStation had it as well. And, I mean, not that I don't like getting PC games. I just don't really play a lot of PC games, or I don't think of choosing my computer to play games first. I've always been more of a console first type person. And when I heard that Dispatch was coming to the Nintendo Switch, I was like, oh, Dispatch on the go. Like, this could be really fun and really interesting. I really like it. But then some news came out, and it looks like Dispatch, which is a very mature game, by the way, is going to be censored on the Nintendo platform, which is really weird because there's a lot of games and like that are mature, that show nudity and ultra violence, that aren't censored and have language, and they're not censored on Nintendo. So why make the decision to censor this game on this platform? Like, I don't know. It just didn't make any sense. In fact, I know I've gone through the Nintendo store and I've seen like what looks to be hentai games, like anime nude girl type games on their store. So unless, I mean, I've never downloaded and played one of the games, so maybe, they like cover up just enough, like, oh, it leaves everything to, like, it shows you everything but the nipple or something like that, like, I don't know. And I've never really cared too much because, like, are they really even good games? And they might be. They might probably be the best. You know what? I should probably play a couple of these hentai games just to be sure. I can't talk mess on them without actually knowing. But I don't know. You see things like that on the Nintendo Marketplace, and other games that have been on there that are very mature and violent and language and stuff. And so why would Dispatch, which yes has some nudity, but I guess is more for the I don't know. I don't know how much nudity is in Dispatch, because obviously in the stuff that I've seen when they share it on like YouTube or TikTok and stuff, you can't really show that kind of stuff. So I mean, who knows, right? But I do find it weird that they would choose censorship and not making it an option, because like I can understand that. Like, yes, there are a lot of children who use Nintendos, right? So, having the option to uncensor it, or like based on, because I think you can set like family, not plans, but ratings on the system itself as an overview. And so, if those ratings are in place, like you can only have the censored version unless you go in and unlock it. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. Maybe with enough pushback, the company will change its minds. But as of right now, what I can see is no. The company even has come out to say that, hey, look, the core narrative and gameplay is going to be the same. Like, nothing's going to change there. You're just not going to be able to goon to it. Like, I mean, I guess really that's what this is, right? Moving on to some other video game news. Animal Crossing's been out for a long time now, right? And just here recently, we got a Animal Crossing update, a big update. But there was something that was not part of the update. It's something that's been a part of the game for the whole time that I just recently learned while watching someone play. If you play Animal Crossing, you know that it's a fun game where you can build, decorate. Well, I say build, but you can decorate, craft, and just really organize an island and have fun with it. You can farm fruits and vegetables, grow trees, all these fun little nifty things. Well, you also know, along with being able to fish and catch bugs, there are critters on your islands that mean to do you harm. Bugs like scorpions and tarantulas and wasps or bees. I think it's wasps that can hurt you. But I learned that there's a way that you can fight back recently. I didn't know if this was real or not, and I really was kind of, I don't know, I was shocked when I saw this, and I immediately went to the internet to find out this was like fake AI. But did you know that if you have the party poppers in Animal Crossing, if you have like a wasp buzzing around you, because they buzz around you before they sting you, right? If you pop the party poppers as the wasps are flying around you, they scatter. It scares them and they scatter. I don't know if this works on like scorpions, tarantulas, or any of those critters, but on wasps, it works. And I had no idea. No idea. This whole time, it's been like that. It's nuts, man. Freaking nuts. Yeah, I just thought I'd share that. Maybe you guys didn't know. Now you know. Now you know. You're welcome. All right, let me take another sip of water right here. Sorry about that. All right, guys, up next in the nifty nerd news, Hasbro, who is the company that prints Magic the Gathering cards, is under a lawsuit for allegedly overprinting Magic the Gathering cards and damaging the health of the card game. And one of the shareholders of the company has filed a lawsuit against it, which, let's see, the complaint filed in the United States District Court of the District of Rhode Island on January 8, 2026, names current and former executives and directors alleging gross mismanagement, waste of corporate assets, and misleading disclosures. It says the filing spans multiple areas of Hasbro's business. However, Magic the Gathering is repeatedly cited in the 76-page document. So according to the complaint, Magic Gathering basically makes all the money, right? I mean, and it makes sense. You know, there are a lot of Magic the Gathering cards that I see at Walmart, and a lot of them get purchased. Not all of them. It is not like Pokemon. Let me tell you this. Nothing is like Pokemon. But because I can find Magic the Gathering, I have no issues and no problems finding Magic the Gathering. They have the big boxes of cards and decks and all kinds of stuff for Magic the Gathering. Not the case with Pokemon. So, like, I get it. Like, Magic the Gathering makes Hasbro a lot of money, but does it? No. So anyway, basically the person with the suit's like, yo, you're saturating the market, you're reducing the value of existing cards. And then it all starts to make sense to me. This is a scalper. Like, this person who's complaining is like scalping the market. Like, that's the only thing I can see. Like, why else complain about the value of existing sets? Like, oh, they're getting cheaper because they're easier to find and they're not as in high demand because there's other stuff that's coming out that are competitive and things like that. Not like Pokemon. Pokemon is very hard and value's been skyrocketing, almost like they've been purposefully underprinting to make the value. Like, I don't know. Okay, that's getting into like crazy pants stories, but I like the Magic the Gathering idea, and I think the Pokemon Company should adopt it. Print the ever-loving crap out of these cards. I want these values to tank. I want so many cards in stores that I'm sick of seeing them. Like, oh God, like, of course these are on the shelves because there's not enough people to buy them. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. I want every booster pack with a guaranteed Charizard, so it's worthless, absolutely worthless. Like the Pikachus, the Charizards, the Gardevoirs, the Lucarios, all the really cool, fun Pokemon. I want them printed to hell. I want all the secret rares, the whatever illustration back in rainbow, upside down, reverse hollows. I want those just so overprinted and so saturated into the market that no one wants to buy Pokemon cards again. Like, they look at Pokemon cards like zebra gum. That's what I want. Because, and this is what Magic the Gathering is doing. Magic the Gathering is printing so many things. It's teaming up with so many different companies. Like, they just had like a Spider-Man version of Magic the Gathering, which is really cool, by the way. There's some really cool cards, but guess what? They're really reasonable priced. Like, actually, you know what? Let's go to the website. Let's go now to TCG Player, where I buy all my Pokemon cards and everything. And let's take a look. Look, I don't want to look at the phone app, okay? Let's see here. And you know what? One Piece well, actually, Lorcana is not nearly as bad, but One Piece is pretty bad. Like, people are like really into One Piece. So let's see. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Looks like that's the new set that's coming out. Let's see, Avatar, the Last Airbender. Let's go to Marvel Spider-Man, and let's shop singles. Let's take a look at singles. We're just going to go high price to low. What is the highest sell? Oh, my God. Excuse me. The Soul Stone Cosmic Foil is current market price $32,000. Okay, I've lied. This is actually, I have no idea. Why is this card so expensive? Let's go see here. The Soul Stone Magic the Gathering. Why so expensive? 5 more minutes.
Take a shower.
Oh yeah, buddy. We gotta take a shower tonight. 5 more minutes. It is the chase card from the Spider-Man set. Selling between 15 to 30,000. Some sales exceeding those. The card's limited availability, especially in collector boosters, contributes to its inflated market value. The drop rate for certain versions remain undisclosed, adding to the speculation and excitement amongst collectors. Okay, that's insane. That's insane. Other than that, though, the prices are pretty like reasonable. Now there's a Spectacular Spider-Man card, which comes in multiple different variants of Spider-Man that range anywhere between 500 to looks about $300. But that seems like the really big one. But then after that, prices like drop off. Nothing above, almost nothing above $50. After that, everything, wow, really cheap actually. In fact, the cards that I want is less than $20. So yeah. Whereas if I look at Pokemon cards, I cry. I cry so much. Let's see, Phantasmal Flames. Oh, let's go shop singles there. Let's price high to low, 600, 300. Oh, and then price drop. Okay, so Phantasmal Flames, reasonable. But yet it's so hard to find any of these cards. Why is it so hard to find? Like, I don't get it. Because, like, here I was thinking, like, oh, it's because, these cards sell for so much more. But I can find Spider-Man, or, like, well, I can't find Spider-Man. Spider-Man's out of print now. Maybe that's why the prices have been going way up. But, like, I can't find Pokemon cards. Why can't I find Pokemon cards? It's just so crazy, man. So please, Pokemon, for the love of God, print more. I need you to print way more. I want people filing lawsuits on you, Pokemon Company, for printing too many cards. That's what I want. I will gladly buy those extra cards because I want them. Because I'm not like sitting here trying to make money and scalp and do these things. Like, I'm trying to have fun and enjoy opening packs with my son. And I'm not really crying. I can't do that. It sucks. Anyway, moving on. DC Comics bosses say anime and manga's advantage over Western comics lies in storytelling and young people's desires to have something of their own. Honestly, I think it's something much more simpler. Western comics never change. There's no big, unless a new character gets created, nothing happens to your characters. It's an ever-going rotation of more of the same. And that, to me, is the reason why a lot of younger people are geared towards anime and manga, because those are self-contained stories that have an ending. They don't just continue on and on and on, and they're not retelling My Hero Academia. And if they are doing more or new stories, it is something within the universe that doesn't replace what's happened or reset canon or anything like that. To me, that is the big problem with Western comics, is that the canon or the story will always be reset, will always be changed. And maybe, if you're lucky, something good spins out of it that will stick. But for the most part, everything goes back to square one. That's the thing. Like Spider-Man, one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite storylines with Spider-Man is the Superior Spider-Man storyline, where Doc Ock ends up swapping bodies with Peter Parker and inherits the mantle of Spider-Man. Not something that he planned to do, but when he's flooded with Parker's memories, when, his life is flashing before his eyes, he then realizes what drove Peter to do the things that he did, and has a huge change of heart and a change in moral character, and wants to be Spider-Man and wants to carry on the mantle. But he's going to do it in a way that only Dr. Octavius can. He wants to be very smart about it and very practical and efficient with it. And he's still got Doc Ock's attitude. So kind of an ass, right? But it was a very interesting take and a very cool way to look at what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. Like, you can't just put anyone in that suit and, and thwip. Like, it's more than just webs and red tights. And that was what made that story really cool. And what made that story really frustrating is when Doc Ock just gives Peter his body back to sacrifice him. I mean, it's a beautiful character moment, don't get me wrong, but Peter was always going to get his body back. Like, that was always going to happen. And thankfully, some Superior Spider-Man stuff did spin off from that, but nothing really that long-lasting or exciting. So I was really sad about that. So that's your problem, Western comics. Anyway, the last bit of nifty nerd news that we have for you guys today is that Sex Criminals, one of my favorite comic book series, is getting greenlit for an Amazon series. And it looks like Kumail Nanjiani and Emily Gordon will be leading the charge to put this story into action. Not that they'll be in it at any point, but that they are going to help screenwrite it for a television series. Now, of course, Sex Criminals is a story about two individuals, Susie and John, who each have a secret, and they happen to share the same secret. Is when they come, time stops, and not like, oh, they just showed up. No, I mean like when they're jizzing their pants, time stops. It is very interesting. It's very interesting to have the same power, and it, as it turns out, more than just them have this power, and it ensues a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of funny stuff, and a lot of heartfelt and meaningful stuff. The big thing of the story, though, is Susie's bookstore, our library, is getting shut down, and she needs a way to get money for it or a way to save it. In walks John, who works at a company that he absolutely hates that has a bunch of money. Or I don't know if it's a company he works for that has a bunch of money, or he knows that there's a bank with a bunch of money. Anyway, they decide to rob a bank. Like that's what they're going to do. But as I said, it's more than just them who have these powers. And there are people who monitor for people like them who have these powers. And that's how things get really interesting. The story was published way back in 2013, which, wow, that was over 10 years ago. And I absolutely loved it. It did, not that it suffered a lot, but it did suffer from certain hiatuses and just kind of some delays mixed in. But ultimately, I thought it was a great story, really stuck the landing for me. And it wasn't just a typical ending that you would get in any comic book. It was a very interesting, unique ending, or one I wasn't expecting. And like I said, I loved this story so much. Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky, who Matt was the writer. Chip, I think, would help write, but was mainly the illustrator for this story. Really fantastic, really great. And so I'm excited. I'm a little scared, but I'm excited. You know, maybe Amazon can kind of streamline it a little bit, make it work make it a little tighter. But I'm curious, man. I'm curious to see how this plays out and how this is all going to look, because I thought it was a really fun story. Anyway, that's all that I have for the nifty nerd news. Thank you guys for hanging out and being a part of this. We're going to take a short break here because I got to give my son a shower, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what I wanted to review for the week.
Plug in, tune up, press play, let's go. This is the Bry-Fy podcast. Welcome to the show.
All right, guys, thanks for sticking around for the review portion of the show. This week, I checked out Wonder Man over on Disney+. You guys have probably seen it, or at least seen commercials for it. I saw something pop up, and I was like, oh, man, this was a show that I was actually kind of interested to watch. I had no idea it was out. Thankfully, entire series released, so I got to just deep dive into it, which I did, and watch the whole thing. And it wasn't a struggle. First off, episodes are 30 minutes long, very, very television-like episodes. And like nowadays, you get so many shows that they're like hour-long episodes, and like, not that they're bad, but you know, sometimes they kind of drag along. Wonder Man is very quick-paced. It's a lot of fun, but it's definitely not your typical type of superhero show. Now, you will see superpowers in there, but not exclusively. Like, it's not really, like, Wonder Man is not about the hero. It is not about the powers. It is not about anything like that. It's not like your formulaic superhero where it's like, oh, here's superhero A and here's villain B that has powers very similar to superhero A, and now they have to fight because although they have the same powers, it's really a battle of morality. No, this is a very personal, people-driven show, and it's about a young man Well, I say a young man. We're probably close to the same age. Well, I don't know. He's probably much younger than me. He's way more fit than me. That's for damn sure. Simon Williams, who is our Wonder Man, is an actor, a down on his luck actor who, probably books some things, but or at least in the show he does appear to book some things, but then he basically unbooks himself by the way that he acts. He overanalyzes things a lot. He's very nervous and anxious, and he seems like a pain in the ass to work with. Which, I mean, hey, we all know someone like that, right? But that's the star of the show. Come to find out, the Wonder Man in the comics, the original Wonder Man, other than starting out as an actor and then getting his, I think he got his powers first and then started being an actor, was still kind of a dick. And so it's really interesting stuff. In walks Ben Kingsley's character, Trevor, who was the fake Mandarin from the Iron Man series, or well, it was like the Mandarin, and then it turned out he wasn't the real Mandarin, and now he's back in Hollywood and trying to be an actor again, or like be a good actor again and book some gigs. And it turns out that he starts to mentor Simon Williams, which is really interesting and really cool. I don't want to spoil too much with this because I really think this is a show worth watching. But getting to see their interactions and kind of like, an older acting mentor taking a younger actor who has the talent but needs polish or needs help, and not so much with his acting but with his personality and how that affects his acting. It's such a really nice story. I wanted to say fun story, but it's a nice, engaging story, getting to see all the people, getting to see some of the behind the scenes of acting while acting. I don't know. It's kind of interesting and cool, but it's great, man. There's not so much a big villain in this series at all, really. Now there is like this over presence, I'll say, of the Department of Damage Control. We've seen a bit of them from, what was it, Miss Marvel, that series, and they're in trouble. They're losing funding. The government's going to shut part of them down unless they can really prove their worth. So instead of just being really good at finding bad guys to fill their prison, they're doing everything that they can to try to find someone and make them the bad guy. And that someone that they want to make the bad guy is Simon Williams. And I don't know how I feel about that. It's very, very upsetting in some ways, but it makes for a very interesting story, and you get to see how everyone is a player in some way during this story and is involved in different ways during this story. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. I think you guys should check it out. As far as the rating goes for me, it gets a positive charge. I loved it. I loved the look of it. I love the feel of it. I thought it was a breath of fresh air compared to all the other superhero stuff that we get, because it's not a superhero show, but it has a superhero in it. So I think you guys should check it out. It's on Disney Plus right now, streaming all episodes. Go check it out. But that's all I got for you guys this week. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We'll see you guys soon, sooner than later. Bry-Fy out.